I'm fascinated, Scott, that according to CNBC, while 58 crypto wallets have made over $10 million each on President Trump's meme coin, that's the fight, fight, fight coin, over 750,000 wallets have lost money on it. That's incredible to me. Like 58 people who I guess somehow were in the know. Made money, or many of them may have been in the know, and the vast majority of people who are buying small amounts, supporters of the president, I'm guessing, lost money.
But that's the definition of a kleptocracy, is that a small number of people with proximity to power make an exceptional amount of money, but the larger public loses a lot of money.
Donald Trump's corruption is out of control, and there are 3 specific ways that he is ripping people off, just taking money from people, even his own supporters. First, we have to talk about his cryptocurrency. Those numbers are staggering. Over 764,000 people have lost money, while only 58 people total have made money on that cryptocurrency. Who do you think those 58 people are? Do you think they are just lucky Trump supporters who got in on the ground floor? Or are they people who are in Trump's inner circle, who have direct access to information, to insights, to strategies? With so many things in the Trump world, that is a common occurrence, and I'll show you a couple other examples. But the sad reality is, people bought into this cryptocurrency hoping, like many investors in the broader crypto world, that their investment will one day pay dividends, that their initial investment will grow. But for 700,000 plus people, that was not the case. Their initial investment decreased, and Trump, and very likely people in his orbit or other wealthy investors, got even more rich. That is the story of Trump's economy. And as this conversation on CNN continues, they show this happens elsewhere, including the stock market.
It extends beyond that. On April, I believe it was the 9th, at 1 p.m., there was abnormal trading volume and calls. People betting the stock market was going to go up. And then at 1:18, Trump announced he was pausing tariffs, and the market screamed to one of its largest gains in history. So somebody knew at 1 p.m. what he was about to do. This is arguably the biggest grift in modern history. Think about it. The Trump family has gained $1 billion in wealth per month over the last 3 months. And the world is getting, or the U.S. is getting more expensive for everybody else.
Very interesting timing for those calls and options to be placed right before Trump's big announcement. These people are trading on information that seems to be only available to insiders. If only there was a term for that. Hey, let's be real. Martha Stewart went to prison for insider trading. Will any of these people? My guess is no, because it is open season for Trump and his allies. They are robbing the American people blind. And despite these obvious circumstances, Caroline Leavitt, Trump's spokesperson, vehemently denies any allegations of wrongdoing or corruption.
I think it's frankly ridiculous that anyone in this room would even suggest that President Trump is doing anything for his own benefit. He left a life of luxury and a life of running a very successful real estate empire for public service, not just once, but twice. And again, the American public reelected him back to this White House because they trust he acts in the best interest of our country and putting the American public first. This is a president who has actually lost money for being president of the United States. I don't remember these same type of questions being asked of my predecessor about a career politician who was clearly profiting off of this office. That is not what President Trump does.
Now, this is something that I really want to dig into because there are a few ways to look at it. First, of course, Trump is using his cryptocurrency to sell access. That's explicitly one of the promotional measures for the cryptocurrency. The largest investors get a private tour of the White House. The largest investors get a private dinner with Trump. You have to put your money into his cryptocurrency that he directly benefits from, and in return, you get direct access to him via private dinner or private tour of the White House. What is so hard to understand about this? And then there's the problem of Trump using his position as president to personally enrich himself. So when he goes to any of his properties, Mar-a-Lago, Bedminster, even Trump in Las Vegas, which I was just reminded still somehow exists. This is a guy who somehow found a way to run a casino into bankruptcy in Atlantic City. He somehow still has an operable casino in Las Vegas, but maybe their days are numbered. Whenever he goes to any of these properties, and he's gone to all of them in the first 100 days, some of them many times, Secret Service and other administration officials travel with him. He does not provide rooms or utilities or amenities to other government officials for free. Of course not. He charges the government for people staying there. So that is a direct transfer of our tax dollars into his pockets via his personal properties. Again, he is personally benefiting and enriching himself from his position. This is blatant corruption. And the audacity to try to spin this into an attack on Biden. You don't have to like the guy, but he doesn't have a Biden Rehoboth, at least that I know about. Despite all of Biden's faults, he was not traveling to a private resort that he owned and forcing the government to reimburse him for costs. Joe Biden did not also hawk a cryptocurrency, and maybe that's a missed opportunity because an NFT of Biden losing his train of thought during the debate could have potentially raised millions of dollars. But jokes aside, this also comes at a time where he is deliberately making prices higher for all of us. Trump's reckless trade policies, especially on tariffs, are going to hurt all of us. For now, it seems like the US and China have reached some sort of an agreement that, at the very least, delay the implementation of Chinese tariffs by 90 days. That's good, but we shouldn't have been in that situation in the first place. Despite the complaints during the 2024 election from the right about the cost of living, egg prices, inflation, now all of a sudden they don't care. People like Jesse Waters and Greg Gutfeld over on Fox News are actually laughing about it.
Canada has increased their exports to other countries by 25% since these tariffs came into play. They basically haven't been affected yet by them at all.
Sure, their economy's reeling, Jessica.
Really?
Look at the statistics.
I do look at the statistics.
Well, then you
day.
didn't read them properly.
Oh, sorry. Was I holding them up? Okay. So this is happening all over the world, that countries are getting together behind our back, essentially, to figure it out. And Bessent gave an interview with CNBC. He was also before Congress and has admitted that we actually haven't spoken to China at all. You know how Trump said we were out there and I've been talking to Xi and Bessent, and credit to him that he wasn't going to lie about it. He says that that's not true, that we have 18 countries that we're targeting, 17 we've had conversations with, but not with China, which is the main issue here. Mm-hmm. And where he would have had the most support if he had said, I want to reevaluate our China trade policy. And now CEOs are feeling more emboldened to come out and talk about the real risk to their companies and to the American public from these tariffs. Like the Mattel CEO gave a lengthy interview where he talked about the increases in prices of toys and that we do a lot of our toy making in the creation process here in America, but the manufacturing has to happen in China. Prices will go up. Microsoft says prices of your export.
Because the children's tiny little hands can work on the dolls.
Listen,
don't you care about those children?
I absolutely do care about those children. But the idea that we are going to reroute all of this manufacturing back to America and find little tiny American hands that are going to do it is a farce.
What about,
Maybe it moves
what about
to India.
tiny little Vietnamese hands?
There was a very... So stop with the hands. It's distracting.
He started the hands.
Okay.
Don't blame me.
His hands are already tiny.
The executive director of the Port of Los Angeles talked about what's going on there. 35% down in terms of volume. He says truckers are going to be laid off. Dock workers are going to be laid off.
So. Everything.
That's a big deal.
It's always what's going to happen.
And it never happened.
And it never happens. It's not true that it doesn't happen. Prices are already going up. Layoffs at MAC, at their Lehigh plant, 10% of their force. These are real consequences.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Now, all of a sudden, you care about child labor? Child labor. The thing that red state governors in the South are bringing back? You're worried about that? No, of course not. It's okay if it's happening in a red state in the South. It's okay if Governor Kay Ivey is doing it or Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders is doing it. My take is it shouldn't be happening anywhere. Do you see how easy that is? But Greg Gutfeld can't make that point because he has to flip-flop on issues to stay in Trump's good graces. Ultimately, he's trying to defend whatever the Republican Party does, even if that means doing a 180 on an issue like child labor. Excellent point, Greg. Before this US and China deal, things were looking very bad, but the Trump administration was lying about the reality. Here's one of Trump's advisors talking about it on Fox.
I get real-time data every day on whether there are shortages, and I can report that there are still plenty of things on the shelves. There were a couple of weeks where shipping from China was lower, but now shipping from a lot of other countries is going way, way up. So people don't have to be worried about what the scaremongers are saying. These policies are onshoring jobs, onshoring production. You can see it in the jobs data. You can see it in the explosion in manufacturing jobs already.
And what people need to understand is the shortages would come later, sometimes weeks or months after the implementation of tariffs. Imports take time, shipping takes time, and the supply chain takes time. So while stores did have goods on their shelves, if these tariffs are implemented, over time, we will start to see fewer and fewer items. Shortages will come down the line. And as China and the US were engaged in this tariff tit for tat, Seattle's port commissioner confirmed there were no cargo ships in their port.
We currently have no container ships at berth. And that happens every once in a while in normal times, but it is pretty rare. And so to see it tonight is, I think, a stark reminder that the impacts of the tariffs have real implications.
So this deal may last for a couple months. Maybe it will get extended in perpetuity, but we can't rely on Trump to do the right thing. We never can, and we never will. And we certainly can't count on him to put our interests first. Why would he worry about how much we have to pay for goods when he's got a cryptocurrency to sell? For Trump, just like during his first term, this is all about enriching himself. And the long-term consequences could be devastating. We may genuinely have a totally different economy in 4 years. But hey, at least Trump and his buddies made millions.